You have tried to stop. You have sworn to yourself, in moments of post-masturbation clarity and shame, that this time will be the last time. You have used willpower, distraction, and resolutions, but the cycle always returns, pulling you back into the private theater of fleeting pleasure and lingering emptiness. You believe this is a battle of self-control, a question of discipline, a moral failing you must conquer? But what if I told you the fight is not with your hands, not with your body, but with a ghost? A ghost that has been directing your life from the shadows since you were a child. What if the uncontrollable urge that brings you to your knees in solitude is not a simple desire for release, but a desperate scream from a part of your soul that has been starved? The compulsion is not the problem. It is a map pointing to the real wound. And that wound has a face. It is the face of your father. You will never ever break this cycle by fighting the symptom. You must turn around and face the source. You must look into the eyes of the man who was supposed to give you the world and understand what he gave you instead. An emptiness you have been trying to fill with your own hands. You think it's about willpower. You think if you were stronger, more disciplined, or more virtuous, you could simply command this behavior to cease. You set rules, you make promises, you feel a surge of control, only to watch it crumble when the urge returns, stronger than before. This is because you do not understand the nature of the psyche. Carl Jung was clear, that which you resist persists. What you push into the darkness does not die. It gains strength, it becomes autonomous, it waits for a moment of weakness, and then it takes the throne 444. Your compulsion is not a simple impulse. It is a repressed force that has taken on a life of its own. Every time you fight it with brute force, you are feeding it. You are giving it your energy, your attention, making it the secret center of your life. It is not your weakness, it is your misdirected strength. The act itself has become a symbol, a ritual performed in the dark. It's a desperate attempt to feel something, to feel powerful, to feel a release from a tension you cannot name. But the tension always returns, because you are trying to solve an internal problem with an external act. It is the language of your unconscious. It is a message from the part of you that has been ignored, and it will not be silenced until it is understood. Stop fighting the messenger and start listening to the message. The message is about a void, an absence, a gaping hole where a king should be. To understand the hole in your own soul, you must first understand the function of the father. In the architecture of the psyche, the father is not just the man who raised you. He is an archetype. He is the principle of order, of law, of discipline. He is the bridge to the outside world. The father is the one who is meant to bestow upon you a sense of your own authority, your place in the world, your ability to act with purpose. He is the voice that says, "You can do this. The world is difficult, but you have the strength to meet it. Here are the rules. Now go and build your kingdom." But what happens when that voice is silent? What happens when the father is a ghost, physically present but emotionally absent? Or a tyrant, whose only law is criticism and shame? Or a weakling, who could not even build his own kingdom, let alone show you how to build yours? An immense void is created. This is the father wound. It is a fundamental lack of inner structure. It is the feeling of being unmoored in the world, of having no internal compass, no sense of solid ground beneath your feet. It is a hunger for a validation that never came. You were left alone on an empty throne, with no knowledge of how to rule. And so, you began searching for that missing authority, that missing power, in the only place you could find it, within your own body. This is the secret of your compulsion. The repetitive act is a desperate, symbolic attempt to generate the very things the Father was meant to give you. In that moment of solitary release, you are unconsciously playing all the parts. You are the source of your own pleasure. You are, for a fleeting instant, sovereign. You create a feeling of power where there is a vacuum of it. You are the master of a small, secret kingdom of one. The tension builds, the world falls away, and in the climax, you give yourself the validation you crave. It is a closed circuit of self-stimulation. But it is a counterfeit power. It is a fleeting release that solves nothing. The moment it is over, the emptiness rushes back in, often accompanied by shame. The shame is not because the act is inherently wrong, but because your soul knows it is a substitute for the real thing. Your psyche is not trying to feel pleasure. It is trying to feel whole. It is trying to be its own father. It is trying to initiate itself into a manhood that was never bestowed. It is a lonely, tragic ritual of a prince trying to crown himself because the king abandoned the castle. And as long as you seek that coronation in the shadows of your room, you will remain a prince of nothing, a king of a moment, forever trapped in a cycle of temporary power and permanent dissatisfaction. The real kingdom is waiting, but you must first abandon this false one. Let's talk about the shame, that cold, sticky feeling that follows the act. You think the shame is about sex, about morality, about weakness, but the shame is much older, much more fundamental. It is the shame of the abandoned child. It is the feeling of not being good enough. This is the work of the shadow. The shadow, as Jung explained, is the repository of everything we reject about ourselves. A8. Your shame, your guilt, your sense of being flawed, you have pushed all of this into that dark sack you carry on your back. And the compulsion itself lives there. Because you have deemed it unacceptable, it has become part of your shadow. And the shadow does not remain quiet. It projects itself. It seeks to live. Your compulsion is the shadow made manifest, an eruption of all the feelings of powerlessness you refuse to confront consciously. You are not ashamed of the act. You are ashamed of your powerlessness over it. You are ashamed because it reminds you, again and again, that you are not the master of your own house. It reminds you of that initial wound, of the authority figure who failed to make you feel strong. So you hide. You keep it a secret. This secrecy gives the shadow even more power. It thrives in the dark. It feeds on your isolation. You are trapped in a feedback loop. The wound creates the compulsion creates the shame, and the shame deepens the wound. To break the cycle, you must stop feeding the shadow with shame. You must bring the secret into the light of your own consciousness, not by announcing it to the world, but by admitting it to yourself, without judgment. You must look at the compulsion and say, "You are not me, but you are a part of me. What are you trying to tell me?" When you do this, you begin to withdraw your energy from the shame and redirect it toward understanding. The shadow begins to lose its monstrous form when it is seen. The real battle is not against the compulsion, it is against the secrecy and shame that give it its terrifying power. But the devastation of this wound does not end with you alone in your room. It radiates outward. It poisons the well from which you drink to form all other relationships. The absence of the king doesn't just leave the throne empty, it leaves the queen in peril. We must speak of the other half of your soul. Jung called this the Anima. It is the inner feminine, the archetype of relationship, feeling, and connection that resides within every man. A healthy father, the embodiment of order and structure, provides the safe kingdom walls within which a boy's anima can develop without fear. He provides the logos that contains and protects eros. When the father is a ghost or a tyrant, those walls are never built, or they are built from fear and shame. The container is broken. Your inner feminine, your anima, is left unprotected, to be shaped by the chaos. She becomes distorted, a funhouse mirror reflection of what she should be. She may become a nagging, critical voice within, whispering that you are not good enough, echoing the criticism of your father. Or she becomes an impossibly perfect fantasy, a goddess on a pedestal you can never reach, because to reach her would be to find she is only human, and your broken psyche cannot handle that reality. And how does this manifest in your life? Look at your relationships with women. Are you capable of genuine connection, of standing firm in your own being while relating to another? Or do you find yourself playing a part, becoming a pleasing supplicant, desperate for a woman's approval to validate your existence? Perhaps you fear them, retreating from the perceived complexity and emotional demands of a real woman. Real intimacy becomes a threat because it exposes the very emptiness you are trying to hide. A real partner will see the abandoned boy behind the mask of the man, and that is a risk you cannot take. This is where your compulsion reveals another of its secret functions. It is not just a substitute for the father's authority, it is a substitute for genuine intimacy with the feminine. The fantasies that accompany the act are not random. They are conversations with your broken anima. You engage with a phantom woman, one you can control completely. She makes no demands, she cannot reject you, she cannot see your emptiness. She is a two-dimensional puppet who performs for your pleasure and disappears when you are done. It is the safest, most sterile form of intimacy imaginable. You are having a relationship with a ghost because you are terrified of having one with a real person. You are rehearsing connection without any of the risk. Each compulsive act reinforces your isolation, further starving your need for real human contact and leaving you less capable of it. Your soul craves the authentic exchange with another, the challenge, the growth, the sacred dance of two whole people. But you offer it a shadow play, a lonely pantomime. You have traded the terrifying, beautiful ocean of real relationship for a shallow, predictable puddle of your own making. This is why the cycle feels so impossible to break. You are not just fighting an urge. You are fighting your loneliness, your fear of rejection, and your deep-seated inability to connect. You are caught between a compulsion that leaves you empty and a reality that feels too dangerous to enter. The way out is not forward, fighting harder. The way out is backward, into the past. You must be willing to confront the ghost of your father, not as he is now, but as he lives inside of you. You must face the internalized image of him that has shaped your life, Levin. This does not mean you must confront your actual father. He may be gone, or he may be incapable of understanding. The work is internal. It is about sitting down in the quiet of your own mind and allowing the feelings associated with him to surface. All of them. Feel the disappointment. Feel the rage of the boy who waited for a father who never showed up. Feel the longing for his approval, a longing that still pulls your strings. Feel the sadness for the relationship you should have had, but never did. Do not run from this pain. This is the pain you have been numbing with fleeting pleasure. 12. This is the tension you have been releasing in a counterfeit climax. You have been using your body to medicate a wound in your soul. Stop medicating. Let the wound bleed in the safety of your own awareness. By allowing yourself to feel this, you are doing what Jung called making the unconscious conscious. 13. You are bringing the monster out of the basement and into the living room. It is frightening at first, but once in the light, you can finally see what it is. It is not a monster. It is a wounded child, your wounded child. And now you can begin to heal it. You, as the conscious adult, can begin to give that inner child what the father never did. You can begin the process of becoming your own father. This is the great work. Jung called it Individuation 14. It is the process of becoming whole, of integrating the disparate parts of your psyche into a unified self 15. It is the final answer to your compulsion, because it replaces a counterfeit ritual with a genuine reconstruction of the self. Becoming your own father means you must consciously and deliberately build within yourself the qualities that were absent. If your father gave you chaos, you must build order, create routines, set goals, keep your word to yourself. Each small act of discipline is a brick in your new inner foundation. If your father gave you criticism, you must give yourself validation. Acknowledge your own efforts, celebrate your small victories. Learn to speak to yourself with a voice of firm but compassionate authority. Stop waiting for applause from a ghost and become your own audience. If your father gave you absence, you must give yourself presence. Be conscious of your choices, act with intention. Stop living on autopilot, driven by unconscious urges. Your life is your kingdom. You must be present to rule it. This is not a quick fix. This is the work of a lifetime. But it is real work. Unlike the empty ritual of your compulsion, this work builds something that lasts. It builds character. It builds self-respect. It builds an internal authority that no one can take from you. As you build this new inner structure, you will find that the compulsion begins to lose its power. The psychic energy that was channeled into that desperate act will now have a new place to go. 17. It will be used to build your life, not to escape from it. The urge will wither from lack of need. You will no longer need to simulate power in the dark because you will be building real strength in the light. You will no longer need a fleeting release from tension because you will be resolving the fundamental psychic tension that has plagued you your entire life. You have stood for too long in the ruins of a kingdom that was never built for you. You have been haunted by the ghost of a king who abandoned his throne. The compulsion you wrestle with is nothing but a shadow puppet show, a distraction from the real tragedy. The tragedy was the absence of a father. But within that tragedy lies your greatest opportunity. The empty throne is yours to claim. The process of claiming it is not through fighting your urges, but through rebuilding your soul from the ground up. 18. The pain you feel about your father is not a curse. It is the raw material. 19. It is the sacred fire you must use to forge a new man from the ashes of a wounded boy. The path is not easy. It demands courage. It demands that you face the darkness you have been running from your entire life. It demands that you let go of the hope that the past could have been different and accept the responsibility of creating your own future. 20. You are the man you have been waiting for. The authority, the validation, the power. It is all waiting to be built by you, for you. Now I want you to make a choice. You can continue to fight the shadow on the wall, to wrestle with the symptom, to live in the repeating cycle of shame and release. Or you can turn and face the source of it all. You can begin the great work of becoming your own father. If you are ready to stop being a slave to the past, if you are ready to claim your own throne, I want you to state it. Leave a comment below that says, "I will face the Father within." Let it be the first act of a new authority, the first decree from a king returning to his kingdom.